we're being introduced. Are we being introduced, or are we just going to crack into this? What's
I thought about introducing you, but you're podcasters. What can I say that you can't? That's it.
All right. Well, I'm gonna pass over. This is mostly Chris's idea tonight. So.
Yeah, of course.
Everything's
Everything's my idea.
Yeah.
So my name is Chris Ivany, and I co-host this podcast with Paul McLean. We started in 2019. This is our second hockey season. We cover everything from local hockey to NHL hockey to things happening in Asia, and we also just do straight-up interviews with people in the hockey world all around the world. So
like Greg.
So we're very excited to have Greg here with us because he was actually our very first guest on the podcast. So Greg, thanks for being here.
Well, thanks, Chris and Paul.
Hey.
It's good to see you guys again.
I guess we should say
Rachel,
name of our podcast as well. I'm sure you can probably tell by Chris's shirt here. My logo's a little smaller.
Are we running the music? Or are we just going here live?
Oh, can we get the first music on?
Yeah.
Cue the hits.
Cue the music. Hey hockey fans, welcome to Across the Pond, Hong Kong's first and only hockey podcast. I'm your host, Chris Ivany. With me, as always, my co-host, Paul McLean at beautiful Sunset Studio.
We're not at Sunset
Sunset Studio. Where are we, Paul?
Apparently this is the Fringe Club.
Okay, we're at the Fringe Club tonight, folks. And this is a very special event and our very first live podcast. And I'd like to thank Rachel, and I'd like to thank everyone from the Hong Kong Spoken Word Festival who put this on. Thank you guys so much. And because we don't have a lot of time tonight, we're going to get right at it. And I will tell you guys, if you are interested in knowing the entire history of hockey in Hong Kong, where it started and how it got to where it is today, go back to episode 1, because we got this guy for about an hour and a half explaining everything that took place. So, without further ado, our guest tonight from Nepean, Ontario. He's the co-founder and executive director of INET Asia, as well as the director of the China Hockey Group, which encompasses various hockey programs across the city. He's played an integral part in the growth and development of hockey in Hong Kong, and he's been also a super great friend to the podcast and very supportive. So please welcome to the podcast, Mr. Greg Smyth.
Is it Nepean? You pronounce it Nepean?
It's Nepean.
Is it really?
It is Nepean.
I had no idea.
I didn't hear anybody say anything.
Yeah, well, I was like,
no one from Nepean here.
I got to be honest, I always call it Nepean. But I learned something. You got to learn something every day.
Yeah.
Anyways, one thing kind of blows my mind, being Canadian, and you guys, everyone lives in Hong Kong, everyone, yeah? It's nice and warm. Nice and warm. Last thing you think of is ice. So you'd be surprised. There are, how many ice rinks in town?
I think there's 7 now.
7 now. And there's two new ones coming up, right?
3 full size. So yeah, the 2 new ones that have just opened up. There's one in Aloha's Park, which is on the east side of Kowloon, and that I think just opened a couple weeks ago. Yeah. So full size ice rink right in the Chung Kwan O area, and then Discovery Bay is opening, I think, at the end of this month. So it's another full size rink. So in addition to Mega Ice, which is really the only full size rink we've had in the past, we've got 2 more full size rinks, plus a handful of smaller ones. Okay. So it's phenomenal growth in ice facilities, which is long overdue because, as you know, we spend a lot of money on ice time. So for those of you who don't know how much we're spending, it's about 9,000 or 10,000 Hong Kong an hour. So for those that are involved in other sports and rent venues, don't complain, because now you've got a benchmark on what we pay.
So Greg, tell us, what do these new facilities mean to you and to all the programs that you're involved in?
Well, this is a very big expansion for us. So currently we have about 250 kids playing in our programs this past year, and probably about 150, 200 adults. So this is a major expansion. We're taking ice at Lohas. We're taking ice at Discovery Bay. We're able to, I think, address some of the deficiencies on programs. I'll start with where there's big expansion is between the 13-year-old and the 16-year-old group, which has been a bit of a deficiency in Hong Kong hockey. So we're moving our U16 league out to Discovery Bay. We're creating a U16 all-star team, which will be the best kids in Hong Kong for that age group, and it's about a 2007, 2006 birth year focus. And one of the things that we're doing this year, because gameplay is so important, we are rotating that U16 all-star team through the South China Ice Hockey League Division 1 men's teams throughout the year, because we're moving that, we're expanding and creating that division in Discovery Bay. So the kids will get a lot of good experience against the adults. The SCIHL is a non-contact division. So that's pretty big news on that sort of division for those kids. We've actually got some pretty decent hockey players that have come up through the ranks. Yeah. And the challenge in Hong Kong is there's no real ecosystem like you have in Canada, and that's what we're building out right now. But going down from that, we get into the U13s and the U11s and the U9s, and we've got more programs for them in the different rinks. And we're really lucky. This is going to be truly a North American program that we're running for hockey. And it is hockey, not ice hockey. We get that a lot from people in Asia. So that's going to be great for the kids. We're all about developing talent. So now, coupled with the kids' development, I mentioned the SCIHL. So we've expanded the men's hockey, and we've got 3 divisions for that. So Division 1, 2, and 3. That'll be in 3 different rinks. So we're running multi-rink structure next year. And I think probably the biggest news is we're moving the CIHL, which is
Hong Kong's Elite Hockey League.
Hong Kong's Elite Hockey League, full contact. So if you ever want to come out on it's going to be a Saturday night in Discovery Bay. That's good hockey. A lot of guys have played junior or college or university in that league. We've got a program to bring the top U18s through the league. So that's moving to Discovery Bay. And that's going to be awesome because we'll probably have 300 or 400 people at that game on a Saturday night. Because apparently I don't live in DB, but apparently there's not a lot to do there on a Saturday night, according to our research. And
you're not getting to the plaza.
Well, that's funny enough. That's the number one response. It's like, because the rink is at the plaza, so people are like, oh, so I can take my beer and go and watch the game. I'm like, yeah. So it's I don't know. There's probably 20,000 people in Discovery Bay, so it's going to be like a small Canadian town on a Saturday night. So it's going to be off the charts awesome. So that's something we're doing next year as well. And so the growth in hockey is going to be phenomenal going forward.
Awesome. Nice. Now, I don't know if anyone has seen this in the news right now, but we're going through a pandemic. Now, I have to ask, pandemic, has it affected you guys much? What kind of, are you getting travel plans? Are you guys going on tour?
Obviously the travel's nil. But I would have to say that for the growth of our program, it's probably been a net positive. Because we have been able to. I mean, first of all, we've got the dream team of coaches. So our program coordinators from U7 to U6, we've got a guy named Jesse Lucier at U7. We've got Dave Bellucci at U9. We've got Whitney Olson at U11. Devin Welsh, U13, and Ben McCaskill, who does the GBHL and U16 along with Whitney. Unbelievable. So these guys have been top notch all year, and that's just our program coordinators, and we've got a coaching layer underneath that. So they've been really good with the kids. So that's really facilitated a super positive environment, notwithstanding what's going on. So I think there's been a flight to quality for what we do, and so we've seen a lot more kids register for programs and wanted to come out. I mean, we have gone through the shutdowns of the rinks, so that's been, and that's where the parents have been really good because we're rescheduling stuff all the time. So rink shuts down and we just push the schedule, and so there's messages going out all the time. So that's been I think, a good byproduct. We've also changed some of our programs because throughout the pandemic, there's been, and I'm sure everybody's aware of this, there's conflicting instructions from the government on a variety of topics.
That's way of saying it.
Well, at least the vaccination's rolling out now, so give them credit for that. So we've been in a situation where we've literally had scenarios where, okay, you guys can play games, but if you want to do training, it's in groups of 4. And so you do the math on that one. Anybody that plays team sports on that one's going to go, well, okay, that doesn't really make any sense. But anyways, you have to play games. So we've shifted a lot of our training programs into something we call accelerated game program. And it's something we weren't doing before. It's something we're going to do a hell of a lot more going forward because it's just been phenomenal for the development of the kids. So this is scrimmage format, but it's high tempo, less whistles, and so on. So we've changed some of our programming because of COVID, but it's been to the I think the net benefit to the kids. So, but it hasn't been easy. There's no question. It's impacted a lot of lives in a lot of different ways, and I'm hoping that we're getting through. And that there'll be no big future waves of COVID. So, but we'll see.
Well, just before the pandemic, you guys started the Greater Bay League. So the Greater Bay League, if you want to explain, so it provided an opportunity for kids in Hong Kong to go to Shenzhen and play against teams of equal quality, more competition, and also provided an opportunity for them to travel and play hockey. So
the Greater Bay League has been phenomenally successful. We ran it for about 2/3 of the season before we got shut down from the travel. But one of the I guess observations for Hong Kong hockey is we weren't playing enough advanced gameplay or competitive gameplay, and it's a problem in Asia. So we developed this concept of a 4-team division per age group. So you've got U9, 11, 13, and we go up and play games on a Friday night, Saturday morning. And it's been great for the kids because the teams in China are actually a bit more competitive. So as the structure goes in Asia, probably the most competitive hockey is in Japan, then followed by Korea, and then probably in Taiwan, and then in China. So it gives the kids locally the opportunity to go out and play against better teams. And yes, they get better very quickly. And we've extended that concept this year. We've got a partnership in Japan with the Yokohama Grits. One of our shareholders owns one of the Asian pro teams there, so we'll be doing hockey there. And in Korea as well, and in Taiwan. So big growth on the gameplay, which is, like I said, it's been lacking in Hong Kong.
Speaking of growth and things that are lacking here in Hong Kong, Greg, there's going to be a story come out next week, and there's been a lot of controversy in the hockey world, you guys. This is serious stuff. There's been a lot of controversy in the hockey world, and actually, the head of the Hong Kong Ice Hockey Association put out a pretty defamatory video, which included remarks about you and programs that you run. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what's going on in this situation?
Yeah, that wasn't. Apparently, I hit a nerve during COVID because I approached the government and asked what was being done by the government and by the Hockey Association regarding COVID and leadership and so on. So apparently, you don't do stuff like that because what happened next was the guy gets on YouTube and starts sort of bad-mouthing me and bad-mouthing the program. So, anyways, I've got thick skin, and with all of this, you have to look at the source because the Ice Hockey Association is very political, and I think if you actually talk to anybody in Hong Kong who's been involved in hockey in the last 25 years, they're all going to say the same thing. It's been very anti-kid development, which is really unfortunate. And that's probably a polite way to paraphrase what's going on with the Ice Hockey Association. But they're really not doing their job, and it's other people that have developed hockey. And so I think there's a sense of paranoia when our organization is growing. There's a lot of misleading comments about you have to play here. with the national team, and it's a U9, U11, U13 national team, and play in another club. But then you find out that it's only in Hong Kong they have this junior national program. Nowhere else in the world. But it's very misleading, and that's what the association is driving. So there's 100 of those examples that I could provide. But I think at the end of the day, I think the market will take care of him and the association. And a lot of the parents have they're new to hockey, so they don't know. I mean, you don't know what you don't know. So part of I think the association has really stepped in it. Because now a lot of people are starting to ask questions.
Yeah.
And it's very, very difficult to defend the track record of
Right.
the association.
So the track record I've been here for 10 years, and it all boils down to there seems to be a little bit of a lack of community within the hockey community. So what do you see as a solution, and who would you like to see heading the Hong Kong Ice Hockey?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think you're bang on with the lack of community. Everybody needs to work together. I mean, that's how it's done in Canada, and that's how it's done in the U.S. as well with hockey and so on. And the national program runs the national team, and it doesn't do other things. In regards to who I'd like to see run it, there's a woman named Adrienne Lee, who is a hockey player, plays on the women's national team. She's got kids playing. Super smart woman. Lawyer. And I think she would be ideal to step into this role for the next year. There's an election coming up in 2022, and I think our group would put our full weight behind her becoming the next chairman of the Ice Hockey Association. I think it's difficult because I think it's the way the membership works. There's probationary membership, and there's super delegates, and it's a pretty rigged game as far as I understand it. So, we have to start somewhere. But that would be my vote for next chairman.
Yeah.
Chairwoman.
Now everyone talks about the 5-year plan. I'm going to step it back though. I'm going to say 2-3 year plan. Let's look at 2-3 years. Where do you see hockey in 2-3 years in Hong Kong?
Well, I see absolutely explosive growth for hockey in Hong Kong. If you do the math from one large rink to 3, and you're not going to have that growth in players immediate. So there's going to be a multiplier effect over time. But part of why it's successful in Canada and other places, Scandinavia as well, is there's rinks everywhere. So for those of you who have grown up in North America or Europe, whether it's the rinks that are outside during winter or the rinks that are seemingly around the corner. I mean, you have something like Vancouver where you have 200 rinks within an hour of city center.
And not one NHL team.
Let's
be honest. Sorry, I'm a Bruins fan.
They're recovering. So 3 million people, 200 rinks. So we're starting in a good spot with a couple more rinks. But this means tournaments. This means more advanced gameplay. This will be a ton more kids playing. So Hong Kong will, I think, become like hockey central for Asia, and we've got good people behind it, and I think you're going to see explosive growth. It's not a fringe sport anymore. It's developing into a mainstream sport, and this is super important because Beijing's hosting the Winter Olympics, right? And there's been a big push. I mean, lots of issues with China, but they're pretty focused on sports. So I give China credit for that they really, when they want to do something and bear down, they kind of get it done. And they're very focused on the sports. So you're going to see growth being pushed from the north, and that's certainly going to help Hong Kong. So I think it's going to be an awesome roadmap and future for hockey.
Well, that's great news. And Greg, I want to thank you for all the hard work that you put in the last 25 years here in Hong Kong. And there's a guy in the audience sitting up there by the name of Keith Fong, who has also he's been called the godfather of hockey by the SCMP in Hong Kong. So Keith, thank you for being here. Thank you for everything you've done for the sport here in Hong Kong. And
Got
Greg-
Terry Whalen as well. I don't know
Yes,
if you saw
that's
that,
your-
that
that's
guy in
your
the front
team.
row.
Yeah.
He tells an amazing story. If you tune into our podcast, you'll hear Terry break down hockey movies like I've never seen before.
He's a regular guest who breaks down the classic old hockey movies, Mr. Terry Whalen. as
We'll
well.
talk slap shot later.
Oh.
So that's it. I think our time is up here, folks. Thank you, guys. And if you ever have any questions about ice hockey, please reach out to us. We can find us on Facebook at Across the Pond HK or on Instagram. And Greg, thanks again.
Thanks,
And
guys.
good luck tonight. He's off to the rink to play a game right now.
He's got like 30 minutes to get to the
That's
ice.
right.
Yeah, over my
Oh,
ice.
good. I can make it. Thanks for having me, guys. Always a pleasure to
Thanks, dude.
chat.
Always a pleasure.
Okay.
Thanks, Greg.
Uh,
That was Across the Pond, and that's a wrap.
otherwise, you guys, thanks for coming.
Just to let everybody know, we do have some stickers as well from across the pond, so I'll be handing those out, so don't go anywhere.
And if anyone can name both Chris and I's,
Can anybody name our favorite hockey teams?
anyone? I got one.
And me?
Think of the worst team in the league.
Ever.
Montreal Canadiens. You win. Thanks very much,
Thank you,
folks.
guys. Thank you, Rick.
Have a good night.